Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time and attention. And like all BrandBlitz episodes, we're going to get straight into it and we're going to get right to the heart of the matter. And then if you have any questions, throw them into the chat. We'll either answer them on the way or we'll answer them later. Or you can just email myself or Ruth. Our details are right here next to me. Now, today we're going to talk about Holoplot and Ochno, which featured very heavily at our Integrate 2024 stand, which was incredibly busy for us. So we're really, really thankful and appreciative of everybody who came by our stand and visited us. As did LEA, we also debuted the CS Touch wall panel. WilliamsAV have announced their T3 Infra-Red transmitter, which is the successor to the T2, and Aver announced just a couple of weeks ago a very cool firmware update enabling NDI on all of their professional cameras. So why are we here? Why we're here? Well, look at Scott, right? Look at Scott right here. This is Scott Riley from our TSS team up in Warriewood. Scott's got that, look at him, he's as happy as a dog with two tails. He's got that, I've just unboxed a brand new piece of technology and it works. I love this photo because it reminds me of the reasons why so many of us got into these technologically based jobs in the first place, just for the sheer joy of seeing the thing do the magic. And the thing and the magic that Holoplot is just, well, it's really groundbreaking stuff. When we debuted it, the X2 at Integrate just gone, the response we had was it was incredible. We were lucky enough to have Ryan and Gareth come out from Berlin to conduct all the demo sessions. We ran, I think, 12 demonstration sessions over the whole show. Every single one of them was just wall to wall. It was absolutely rammed, and we are very, very thankful for everybody's time and attention. Still frame on the screen there, you can see the Holoplot X2 array that we had flown up above the stand. It was about 5 meters up in the air. It was a 3-element by 2-element array, and it was shooting 3 tiny little pin spots of audio down onto the aisle below. And as you walked through the aisle, it was incredible. The amount of separation between the 3 commentary programs was just amazing. So Holoplot, as I've alluded to, is the next piece of technology which allows you to very, very precisely and reliably place audio into zones with amazing separation from each other, be it in an acoustically horrible spot or even outdoors. If you need audio to go to one place only or a particular zone only, Holoplot is your go-to. And you can run multiple zones of audio, multiple audience areas, or you can do what we did at Integrate, which is like multiple little pin spots of audio. Let's perhaps say a museum exhibition or something like that, where you want the audience to be able to just go up to an artwork and only hear audio program related to that artwork, and then walk a meter or two that way and have a completely different audio program running. So the X2 is the smaller sibling of the X1. The X1 is the concert SPL full range rock and roll PA. It is, the X1 represents, it's not an exaggeration to say, the X1 represents where concert PA is going. It has completely changed the way people look at this stuff. The Sphere, the MSG Sphere in Las Vegas, is kitted out with X1 because it was the only system in the world that could do it. So that gives you a bit of an idea. The X2 uses pretty much the same technology, but it's optimized for speech reinforcement. And therefore, it's good for unified comm spaces or train station, places of transit, houses of worship, anywhere where you really need to get a very intelligible audio program just to the audience and avoid spill at all costs. If you have any clients or projects where Holoplot may be a consideration for you, just jump on the phone or drop us an email. Our email addresses are up there on the screen. It's a horses for courses thing. There is no standard design, so it's impossible to give a standard price. So if you need to put together a bill of materials and get an idea of what the budget might look like, just give us a call. Moving on to Ochno, which also featured heavily at our stand at Integrate 2024. Ochno is best described, I hope I can describe it very well for you, in using three different concepts: what it looks like, what it does, and how it's managed. Okay, what does it look like? It's very cute. It's very, very cute. These guys make beautiful little bezels that sit on a table with a single USB port in it. And the bezels come in several different colors, all of which look very, very nice. And there's also variations which have buttons on them, which can allow input selection. And those buttons can be programmed to do a number of different things. The most obvious of which would be follow me. It's my input, let's say. So that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like under the table. That's what it looks like on top of the table. Very, very clean. It's 2024. We no longer need great, big, dirty, ugly tabletop boxes with 240 volts in them. Most computers these days can do USB-C charging, and all of our peripherals need to be accessed through USB, or can be accessed through USB-C. So the second part of what I just described there, what does it do? Well, it sits under the table, the OPC4, and there's the Power Conference 3, the smaller one, which I'll get to in a moment. But the OPC4 sits under the table on the back of it, let's call it the front, has the 4 USB-C receivers, which then go to the tabletop of bezels that I showed you before. The OPC4, as you'll see, has 2 RJ45 connections. One is specifically for cloud monitoring, which I'll explain in a moment. The other one avails the USB-C ports of Ethernet or Internet, if you like, if that's what you need with your USB-C connection there. And you've got other ports there to plug your peripherals and your screens and so forth. So you can avail dual display out, and compatibility across USB-C, as anyone who's really had to get into the weeds with this stuff will appreciate, is a challenge. Ochno have gone to great lengths to make it so that it will automatically negotiate compatibility with the widest possible range of electronics. DisplayPort alt mode is, I guess, a fallback, a common fallback in those sorts of situations. And from a charging point of view, we can avail 100 watts across all 4 ports, and so that's going to be more than enough to keep everybody's devices alive for a meeting. And as I mentioned before, one of those RJ45s on there is for Ochno operated, which is the remote management console, which I'll explain in a minute. The OPC3, the smaller device, as you'll see, has no second RJ45. So you cannot avail Ethernet or Internet to the USB-C connectors on top of the table, which is probably a good choice for more secure environments, I would suggest. So the Ochno Room Kit, which consists of the OPC4 and the hub. So the hub can sit behind, let's say, behind a screen, and that acts as the physical output for physical I/O for all of your peripherals. So that can be the output for your screen, and it can also connect via USB to your camera, your microphone, or your video bar. And given that it's designed for a situation where the table isn't straight underneath the screen, you've got an active USB-C cable there to connect the OPC4 under the table, and then with the hub up there behind the screen, directly connected to all of your peripherals. So in a small room, as you can see, very nice, neat, clean tabletop. It's close to the screen and the video bar, so no node would be required in this particular case. So from a hardware perspective, we've got the OPC4 sitting under the table, the tabletop bezels sitting there looking very, very discreet on the top, and then our USB and HDMI connections up to our peripherals there on the wall. In a larger room, we are a bit further away from the screen, so we're beyond the range, a reasonable range of a USB-C cable. And so in this situation, we have OPC4 under the table, and then the active USB extension to go up to the node, availing ourselves of all the peripherals behind the screen. I mentioned Ochno Operated, which is Ochno's remote management console. It's run across the internet, so it allows you to look after your client from wherever you happen to be or wherever they happen to be. Can provide real-time control over the power conference, the OPC3 or OPC4 under the table. It can also give you feedback on your peripherals which are connected to the system, as well as analytics and insights, history, usage, so that your client, your customer, can get a good idea about how the system is being used over time. One thing I will say about Ochno, their documentation is first rate, is absolutely superb. The support portal of their website is just so neatly laid out, very logical, installation guides with detail right down to the, everything is straightforward and as required as what size spade bit do I need to drill through the table, how deep do I need to make that cut, right through to the really, really specific and in-depth technical guides of integrating with Azure and integrating with third-party monitoring systems and so forth. There's a bunch of reference designs on there as well, which really help to visualize how the power conference boxes can be used in various different types of systems. There's a lot of examples there with MTR on Windows and also MTR on Android type devices, and switching between MTR mode and BYOD mode in those situations. So if you're considering a USB-C charging and switching solution for your customer, a really good place to start, apart from ochno.com, of course, would be the support portal, because as a designer, you can really get a good idea of what's going on just by reading the line drawings and then exploring through the support portal. Excellent documentation. Okay, moving on to LEA Professional. So at Integrate, we had the CS Touch wall controller. We had only one of those at that stage, but we do have these in stock now. Now, you'll probably remember earlier this year, LEA released their half rack amplifiers, the little 4-channel 30 watt, 60 watt and 120 watt 4-channel half rack amplifiers. And the CS Touch wall controller is compatible with those and also every other LEA amplifier. It pretty much eliminates the need for a DSP in basic systems because it can provide input selection, muting and volume control for pretty much anything that doesn't require very sort of complex logic-based control. So we can provide the user with a very simple touch panel interface with a knob for volume and so forth, without needing a DSP, because as you'll probably recall, all LEA amplifiers have excellent first-rate DSP in them, everything from matrixing and everything on the front end and mixing as well as excellent IIR EQ, parametric EQ, and FIR EQ on the advanced DSP models, which are incoming, as well as loudspeaker management and also cloud monitoring. All of them have cloud monitoring as well. So in a coming firmware update, we're going to be able to put custom logos, custom background images and so forth, and password protection on the panel itself for some of those more strident users that we often get. If we add a CS Touch with the smallest of the 4-channel amps for well under 2.9K RRP, we've got a complete 4-zone background music system with cloud monitoring. So this really well illustrates the whole DSP-less thing that I was talking about. Really good value for money. As I mentioned, WilliamsAV have released and announced their T3. That will be shipping early next year or later this year. The T3 is same but different to the T2. Things are the same: the footprint, the mounting hardware, the weight, the connections, the basebands, the compatibility with all of the receivers, and can be PoE powered like the T2 with the additional kit. The only thing that's different, it's got almost double the coverage of a T2. So the T3 can be pretty much thought of as a drop-in replacement for the T2 at about the same price. So yeah, we'll be shipping those early next year, the T3, as we will be shipping WilliamsAV's Auracast offering early next year. I'll be having a pretty good run of demos. the demo kits are fairly well booked already for Q1, but yeah, expect to see a fair bit of movement in this realm. As I also mentioned, Aver came out with an absolute belter of an update about 2 weeks ago. All of their Pro AV cameras have now got NDI for free as standard. Even the older models, which could accommodate NDI with an upgrade, are now able to just be upgraded with a free firmware update and unlocks NDI. So that's all the TR series, PTC series, and PTZ series, except for the older models which were never capable of NDI, PTC 115 and 500, for example. But anything that had a variation with an N suffix that was able to do NDI can now do NDI for free. So yeah, excellent value for money. Aver continues to lead the charge when we look at, you know, bang for buck in this realm. So that's about it for me. Thank you very much for your time and attention. If you have any questions on anything I've spoken about before, drop us an email, give us a call, leave a comment in the chat, and yeah, we'll get back to you. Thanks very much.